Hello everyone! It's that time of the year where lots of people are preparing to celebrate Christmas, including here in my home country of Bulgaria, which means that a lot of people are looking for Christmas cards to go with their presents or maybe even send it through the mail. Christmas cards change to reflect the time. You think that they have the same elements like Santa Claus, a Christmas tree, presents, snow, and things like that. But actually they change throughout the years because the way that people celebrate Christmas changes. Especially here in Bulgaria, where Christmas was practically banned for 50 years by the communist regime. However, people still found ways to celebrate it. I think that Christmas cards are a very interesting lens through which we can explore the history of the holiday. So let's go for some old Bulgarian ones that I found on the internet and for some that I've received over the years to see how the fashion and even the Christmas greetings have changed over the decades. The idea of a Christmas card comes from the British politician Henry Cole in 1843. There was a lot of unanswered mail in his household. Basically, everyone was sending him letters wishing him a Merry Christmas, and he didn't have time to respond to everyone. So he needed a time-saving solution. He turned to his friend and artist John Callcott Horsley to illustrate his idea. The artist drew 3 generations of the Cole family raising a toast. This design was then mass-produced and offered for a sale for a shilling a piece, which was very expensive at the time. It's interesting to note that in Britain people still send Christmas cards in the mail. However, I don't know if anyone in Bulgaria does that because of the rise of social media and the decline of the Bulgarian postal service. The first Christmas cards in Bulgaria were actually reprints of foreign design, as evident by this German card with added text in Bulgarian. At the time, a lot of traditions were imported from Germany and other Western countries, as Bulgaria was trying to become more European after 500 years of Ottoman rule. Christmas cards from the first half of the 20th century focus on the religious aspect of the holiday, such as angels and the birth of Jesus, as well as depicting people of the time celebrating Christmas. Bulgaria back then was divided between the wealthy city and the poor village, so it makes sense that Christmas cards would be for the rich city folks who can afford to send them. People in the villages celebrated Christmas in a more traditional way. According to Bulgarian tradition, on Christmas Eve, the table is set with an odd number of dishes without meat. The centerpiece of the meal is pitka, a type of bread with a coin hidden inside. The man of the house breaks the pitka and gives 1 piece to each member of the family. Whoever finds the coin in his piece would have good fortune and prosperity throughout the next year. The history of Bulgarian Christmas celebration can be seen as a back and forth between progressivism and conservatism. Do we keep the old traditions that sustained us as an ethnic group, or do we move forward into the brighter future? In 1944, Bulgaria turned communist, and everything changed. The communists considered religion to be unnecessary superstition. Religion wasn't technically banned. The church was allowed to exist and perform its rites. But the government actively discouraged people from practicing their faith. So all the religious holidays de facto disappeared. Christmas stopped being celebrated officially, and December 25th became just another workday in the People's Republic of Bulgaria. Even though the communists considered themselves progressive, people still wanted to follow the rituals that were associated with religion. So instead of Christmas, New Year became the big winter holiday. Everything they were doing on Christmas, they started doing on New Year's, except going to church. They decorated a New Year's tree, had big family dinners, and kids would receive presents on December 21st. The Christmas cards would switch from wishing you a Merry Christmas to wishing you a Happy New Year. The Western Santa Claus was replaced with Diado Mraz. Diado Mraz is the Bulgarian translation of the Russian Ded Moroz, a personification of winter in Slavic mythology. In the Soviet Union, he was giving presents to children, and he was allowed to exist as an alternative to Father Christmas. So Bulgaria did the same thing when it became part of the communist bloc. One thing that is unique about Diado Mraz is that he has a granddaughter named Snow White who helps him deliver his presents. She's different from the Brothers Grimm's Snow White, and in fact comes from a Russian fairy tale called Snow Maiden. However, in Bulgaria, these two characters are known by the same name. Snow White actually survived the transition to democracy, and she became the granddaughter of Santa Claus. And I like that because the only female in the Santa Claus lore is Mrs. Claus, and she rarely appears. Christmas cards in the Soviet period emphasized on old Bulgarian traditions, since the villagers are the working class heroes of socialism. Gone is the bourgeois lifestyle of the city folk from before the war. A lot of cards feature the Bulgarian tradition of Surva. Surva is when children or bachelors lightly tap the back of others with a decorated willow branch called survachka on the morning of the New Year's Day. These survakari, as they're called, go from house to house, entering homes to bless family members, livestock, barns, and stables, reciting incantations and well wishes for health and fertility. Afterwards, the survakari are awarded snacks, candy, or small amount of money. As you can see, this New Year tradition was not only allowed, but actually encouraged by the communist authority, probably to appease the masses for taking Christmas away. And there were other ways in which the regime would satisfy people on New Year. For example, during the time, stores would be stocked with deficit goods, like exotic fruits, like bananas, oranges, and tangerines. To someone from the West or from a tropical country, it might be funny, but here in Bulgaria, these fruits are a staple of New Year's Eve. Another staple that the socialist cards depict is the New Year's tree. Some cards were used as propaganda, such as this one showing Diado Mraz on a tractor, demonstrating modernization in Bulgaria. Or these ones with the label TKZS. TKZS stands for Labor Cooperative Agricultural Farm, a key element in the socialist transformation of the Bulgarian village that existed as a quasi-state structures. Through these cooperatives, the state acquired the land, the equipment, and the livestock of the villagers, often through coercive measures, to include them in the collective production. The members of TKZS worked together on the farm, taking care of the fields, meadows, and animals. These collectives were dismantled after 1989, and the land was slowly returned to its owners. One more thing that I've noticed on the cards is this traditional wooden jug called buklica. It's used for storing alcohol, such as wine or rakia, and it's characteristic of Bulgarian celebrations. It's often handmade from wood, such as beech or oak. It has leather handle and carved decorations that may include floral elements or traditional ornaments. What I find interesting is that the way that people celebrated back then was very uniformed. Everyone watched the one holiday special on the one TV channel. Kids had a limited choice of toys for presents. Basically, there were very few luxury goods and they were very hard to get, so everyone was getting the same thing. I found one source that described how all the girls wanted this baby-sized doll that closed its eyes when it lay down. And for boys, the best gift was a toy truck that you could sit in the back of if you're small enough. Another popular toy was this metal builder set that was used to make vehicles and machines with. After the regime collapsed, Bulgaria didn't immediately start celebrating Christmas. Of course, you can go to church, but it took several years for the traditions to move back to Christmas. I was a very young kid at the time, but I remember that we used to get presents both on Christmas and on New Year's. And it wasn't very clear who delivered them, whether it was Santa Claus or Diado Mraz. For example, my parents would ask me what I want from Santa, but my grandparents would ask me what I want from Diado Mraz. Fortunately or unfortunately, this got sorted out, and very quickly, Diado Mraz became obsolete. By 1994, Christmas started being officially celebrated in Bulgaria. But New Year's didn't go away, it's still a big holiday. So in Bulgaria, when people say Happy Holidays, they mean both Christmas and New Year. People do say Merry Christmas, but only on Christmas Day. Or they can say Happy Birth of Christ. Here are some Christmas cards that I've received over the years. The oldest one I could find was from 2001, but there's also from 2005, 2014, and some from the last couple of years. What I've noticed is that some of the trends from socialism are still present. Some of the cards are simply New Year's cards, and some cards have folklore motifs. However, there's this card which you can scan with your phone, and when you do, it plays an animation on your phone. So even when you're getting a physical card, you're told to use your phone. There's also one singing card, or at least it used to sing, because it has a little mechanism inside, and every time you open it, it plays on a loop. Okay, I swear to God, it used to be broken, and it just started working now on camera. Yeah, it has a little mechanism inside, and every time you open it, it plays on a loop these Christmas classics like Jingle All the Way and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Let me try again. It's a Christmas miracle. I find it so interesting that Christmas cards embrace technology to try to stay relevant. But what do you think about Christmas cards? Are there any Christmas traditions that are unique to your country? Leave a comment to tell me what's your favorite Christmas tradition. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.